Why has an ingredient possessing all the biological characteristics of a fruit been labeled a vegetable by humanity? This confusion doesn't just stop at the dinner table. Historically, it sparked fierce legal and scientific debates in the late 19th century when botanists were forced to directly confront commercial standards. Okra carries a beautifully evolved legacy hidden beneath its vibrant green skin, and it is time to return the true identity to this member of the mallow family. So, what exactly is okra? Its scientific name is Abelmoschus esculentus. This plant boasts a highly impressive pedigree. It belongs to the mallow family. What does this mean? It shares a table with the brilliant hibiscus flowers in Hawaii. It's even a sibling to the cotton plant that wove the very t-shirt you're wearing, and the cacao tree that makes sweet chocolate bars. Imagine standing in front of a plant that grows up to 6 feet tall. Its leaves are broad, beautifully deeply lobed, and heart-shaped. And the flowers? They bloom massively, bearing an elegant pale yellow hue with a vibrant crimson center. At first glance, you might mistake it for an expensive ornamental plant in a tropical garden. So why is a creature with such a proud lineage so misunderstood? Science is governed by rules. Any structure that develops from a flower and carries seeds inside is, by default, a fruit. The okra pod strictly obeys this law. Yet, humans prefer to categorize the world using their taste buds. When it enters the kitchen, because of its rustic, herbaceous flavor and savory preparation methods, we stripped it of its fruit title. Take a close look at this pod. Its elongated shape, its surface covered in a fine, smooth fuzz, but the real magic only appears when you bring a knife down. Cut across the pod. A perfect polygonal structure is revealed. It looks exactly like a star embracing ivory white seeds. What about that controversial slime? Most diners grimace at the stickiness of okra, but under a microscope, it is a chemical masterpiece of creation. This mucilage is an incredibly complex combination of proteins and carbohydrate chains like galactose or rhamnose. Nature didn't create this glue to ruin your dinner. On the contrary, for the plant itself, it is the source of life. This resilient organism was originally born in scorching desert regions. There, every single drop of water is as precious as gold. Therefore, the mucilage acts as nature's grand safe. It locks in moisture. It protects the fragile living embryo from the blistering sun. So how did a creature of the desert end up on American soil? The roots of this plant lie in East Africa, stretching across modern-day Ethiopia, Eritrea, and eastern Sudan. Biologically, its wild populations are incredibly mysterious. Scientists believe that the West African okra variety is actually a cultigen, an artificial masterpiece painstakingly bred and domesticated by humans thousands of years ago. As early as the 12th century, ancient Egyptians had turned it into a staple crop along the Nile Valley. By 1216, under the Ayyubid dynasty, the Arab botanist Abu al-Abbas al-Nabati personally documented locals mixing the young pods with meal to eat. Thanks to this popularity, okra obediently followed Arab trade routes. It spread across North Africa. It marched straight into South Asia to become the national vegetable known as bindi in India and Pakistan. It even infiltrated Europe through the Umayyad dynasty's conquest of the Iberian Peninsula. However, its greatest journey was written in blood and tears. The presence of okra in the Americas is deeply tied to the transatlantic slave trade. Amidst the cramped and desperate holds of slave ships, enslaved Africans secretly carried these seeds. They took root in Brazil in 1658 and Suriname in 1686. Next, it entered the southeastern regions of North America in the early 18th century. Soon after, it surged in growth. By 1748, it was growing abundantly in Philadelphia. And in 1781, President Thomas Jefferson himself documented the remarkable growth of this plant in Virginia. From within tragedy, yeast became the very core of Southern cuisine. perfectly preserving the survival memory of African Americans. The truth of this brutal migration hasn't disappeared. Let's look at the scientific name, Abelmoschus esculentus. The word esculentus in Latin simply means edible. But the true soul lies in Abelmoschus. It stems from the ancient Arabic phrase Abu el Misk, which carries an incredibly poetic meaning, father of musk. The reason is that its seeds release a sweet, musky fragrance when crushed. What about the familiar names in our daily lives? The very first time the word okra appeared on paper was in 1679, right in the Virginia colony. In essence, it is a remnant of the word okuru in the Igbo language, or nkrumah in the Akan language of West Africa. Or when you enjoy the famous gumbo soup of modern-day Louisiana. This word entered American English around 1805 via Creole. In reality, it originates from ancient Bantu languages like Ochingambo or Kingambo. Before it was used to describe a thick stew, gumbo was the exact name African Americans used to refer to the okra plant. Today, the British call it lady's fingers because of its elegantly slender shape. Cubans call it kimbambo, Dominicans call it molondron, Egyptians call it bamia, and the Yoruba people in Africa call it ila. Despite carrying the DNA of a fruit, its fate is ultimately decided by the frying pan. You never use okra for dessert. You cook it in gumbo. You grill it alongside meat. This categorization by our taste buds and culinary habits legitimized humanity's decision to shove it into the vegetable basket. But the most ruthless intervention doesn't lie in its name. It lies in time. Okra is a sun-craving plant. It grows at an astonishingly rapid rate. The moment an okra flower fades, the young pod appears. At this precise moment, the agricultural stopwatch is officially triggered. Farmers have an extremely narrow window of time, exactly 3 to 7 days. What happens if they miss that moment? Nature takes back control. The vibrant green pod quickly turns woody. It becomes tough and fibrous. It transforms into a dry seed box. It is completely useless to the kitchen. By forcing the harvest while the pod is still immature, humans have intervened in its natural life cycle. We deliberately prevent it from completing its true life as a fully fledged fruit. Human control doesn't stop at the biological clock. We take it one step further, bending its physical form. Original okra pods often had prickly, itch-inducing fuzz, but the American market didn't favor that. And so, the Clemson spineless hybrid was born. Smooth, spineless, perfect for supermarket shelves. Then, when we wanted visual appeal, the red burgundy variety emerged with its gorgeous wine-red hue. Today, this desert fruit has built a massive global agricultural empire. India has risen to become the largest okra-producing nation on the planet. In Southeast Asia, Indonesia has turned this African native organism into green gold, exporting millions of tons across all 5 continents. Furthermore, the greatest mission of this plant actually lies in the future of humanity. Do you usually throw away the hard, dry stalks? The engineering industry carefully collects them. The fibers woven from okra stalks possess an astonishing durability. They are currently being used to create polymer composites. They reinforce the strength of industrial machinery and heavy load-bearing structures. And what about that sticky slime you've always hated? It is a literal miracle for the environmental protection industry. Engineers have harnessed its natural coagulating properties. Instead of using toxic chemicals, okra mucilage is being introduced into wastewater treatment processes. It slowly embraces the dirt particles. It sinks the impurities and restores crystal clarity to murky waters. Even further, this biofilm is being refined to create food wrap, a fully biodegradable, even edible packaging. It was born to replace toxic plastic wraps. Even the tiny okra seeds are carrying a massive responsibility. The oil extracted from them holds the potential to become a biofuel, a clean energy source for tomorrow. So ultimately, after everything, is this organism a fruit or a vegetable? Our taste buds and commercial habits have forced it into the vegetable definition. We tax it. We bend its harvest time. But following the laws of nature, okra has always been a magnificent fruit. It is a silent witness on the tragic slave ships bound for America. It is an evolutionary marvel clinging to life in the arid desert. It is an ancient map of preservation. And now, it is the key unlocking the door to the green industry.